Okay, George, it's maybe nice to meet, and it's maybe good that I go to my presentation. And you have some time for this?
Definitely. Yep, I've got time today to go through the presentation.
Okay, now, first, I founded a company in 1978. Baan Company. It was just in the beginning of the world of microcomputers, and I built real stuff in Unix, etc. We were quite unique. We moved quite early to India in '87. I built a software factory in India. And that's even today one of my biggest differentiators because I adapted real crucial talents and I was able to invest in these people, etc. Now, and it happens that, especially with India, we were acquired for a part. A venture capital firm, Gen Atlantic Partners, invested $33 million in our company for a third of the market cap. Now, that helped me. It was still after 15 years. If you real, normally people do it too early in the beginning. And I was able to finance my company with OEM deals. I did an OEM deal with Olivetti, later with IBM, even with one of my competitors as ASK. Now, and those OEM deals real evangelized our product worldwide. And that was the reason one of the leading venture capitals came to us. And what is the reason for venture capital? Not only the money, but also a little the reputation. It helped me build the US. And it was one of the reasons I could win the Boeing deal. In 1994 was 40,000 users, the most precious deal on ERP in the 90s last century. We were competing with SAP and with Oracle, and there we could win this deal, and it was a real propelling element for Baan, because a year later we did the IPO on Nasdaq in 1995. We became unicorn. Now, that means the company was I should say, the foundation of the company was always innovation. I call it disruptive innovation, but still maybe to 1997, then it changed a little because when we did IPO, it moved a little from customer intimacy, maybe too much, to shareholders value. And then I had real top executives from Gen Atlantic Partners. They had even some guys what they know that they joined me. And they were more driven, some top McKinsey guys, and they were more over time driven by M&A here. And I think that is a big change if you go from M&A, from even customer intimacy. That propelled the company to 5,000 people. And even at 20,000 people or more working by partners for us. The company propelled from $1 billion to multi-billions to 10 billion. And it became more an institute. But I came to and that means your own role is a little disappearing. Till here, I was the heart and the soul of the company. But here I became part of the executive team, although I was still responsible for the R&D stuff, etc. And I moved to India. But again, I came to the conclusion that even we were a little obsolete because I used my money, part of my money from the IPO, I use it and invest in two companies, private. One was Top Tier and the other was WebEx. And they were internet-oriented companies in the infancy of the internet. And I saw that internet is different than ERP is built not for the cloud. There was no browser even in it. And that was for me one of the reasons to quit, because I came to the conclusion, even with my idea was a little, with this in the slipstream private, I was thinking to unite this with the Baan company and build and bring Baan in the slipstream to the internet. But I failed because my board members were not agree with this one, because even the executives, because they are focusing on shareholders value and even what I should say the vested shares. They are more looking on the cash of the shares than on innovation. Now I burned my ships and moved here, and the company later became acquired by Infor and still a diamond in Infor's portfolio. But I moved here in the world of the internet, and I built what we called Chorus. The Chorus, what we called the enterprise cloud platform, or we call it a business operating platform, where you are now focusing longer on only a silo of ERP, but uniting all the silos from ERP, CRM, PLM, etc. on processes. And our focus was on business process. A little too early, and it took too long. And then we built some amazing stuff, what we call the Chorus Process Factory on top. here, and it's more was already no code. Now, I had here a board and another investor later on, but with more or less 50% shares, my private and my investor. But we had some disagreements. They were more focusing on the short term, and I focus here on the long term, and they found a little too innovative. Now, that was the reason here. I took this company out private in Vanenburg with this company, and Chorus continued, and Chorus was later on acquired by OpenText. Without this process factory, I bought this private. And then for the second time, I burned my ships, and I used this stuff in what we call in wrapper. Now, and here we see 3 waves. In Baan, it was system of records, what Gartner is moving, before the internet. Then I moved to the internet, and you have system of differentiation, internet-oriented, but it's in the infancy of the internet. Past, platform as a service. But here I disturbed this again. I did everything myself. I said, we go not to platform as a service. Here you go to what we call infrastructure as a service, the Googles, the Amazons, the Microsofts, and you build your system of innovation and using this infrastructure as a service. This is more the mature way of the internet. That's the biggest differentiator. I will go to this area and explain this. Little clear?
Yeah, I was going to say the constant innovation, obviously, throughout these companies. I mean, look, that Cordy's, obviously, that would have never happened, really, or if, obviously, Top Tier and WebEx would have been accepted by the board.
Crucial.
So it's kind of probably, I know that it probably benefited you that happened, even though at the time you probably thought, why are you just going for shareholder value when I'm trying to push in innovation? And then, but it's a fantastic story.
And it was, George, they were very small companies, but very small. But my CTO in Silicon Valley knew them, and I said, you have to invest in them. I was the first investor in WebEx, and had third of the shares. And had a majority in Top Tier. Now, Top Tier later on, we sold it to S&P for 400 million. I was no longer their majority shareholder. And WebEx didn't. Real was acquired by Cisco for 4 billion. But they're very small. And I invested 150 million in these very small companies. I did it not only for the investment element, but more to have it stand by for the ERP stuff. Now, then I failed. But I quit, and maybe the best one was not from an investment standpoint, but from an innovating standpoint. I was no longer here, locked in with the ERP part. And I started from scratch again, incorporating ERP. Now, but it was the infancy of the internet. And again, here in OpenText, and I quit again, and we moved here to what we call the system of innovation. But the important element, I have the integration between all the 3 ones. And even a system of integration, you need even this old ERP. Therefore, we decouple it. And we don't need longer this one. This is now replaced by microservices. But still, you need this. And this is the biggest problem. You see the SAPs and the Oracles, real complicated, and they can't do this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's without replacing the whole ERP system, adding on top these microservices that give them the flexibility. So it's cheaper to implement, it's cheaper to make change than just having a total brand new implementation. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, now that means if we go to it, now what was in Baan famous? We built the famous Baan shell. That's even today the unique element in Infor. Means in the early 80s, we had already Java before Java was born. We generate from Business Basic, and we moved that to pseudo language because we are no longer related to the compiler, and we build our own shell. In the shell, you see all this it's like your library. We move them around. It was independent from, we call it 3-tier architecture. You had your CPU, where you run your database. It means we were independent from database, and we were independent from an operating system. It was an amazing piece of technology in the 80s from Baan, and it propelled us tremendous. And even Infor is using the same Baan shell, and they translate the CPU is now the internet, and instead of the data and here the operating system, they use Amazon, and they use the same technology. But realize what they do is they bring it on internet, but it is not native internet. It is an execution to the internet. And that's the problem what we see with Oracle, what we see with SAP. They bring this old stuff to the internet, but not native. They try to bring the logic from last century and bring it in the internet. Most people do not understand it. Now, and this helps Baan to build a complex ERP system. we had that was the reason we were able to win. Here you see the whole element of ERP. And what is the complexity? It's also the master working scheduling, the algorithms of Oliver Wright. You do this master scheduling, business planning, production. You bring them all together in the requirements planning, and then you do your logistic part, your PQ to pay, your sales, your purchase. You go to your warehouse, your production. You see this decoupled point now. That is extremely complicated, and the kids of Google do not understand yet this stuff. The technology is there, but they cannot do it yet from this part. Now, and the guys here cannot go to the new stuff they're in. Now, there is one element of the ERP, and we had this customer decouple point. We could decouple it. You see it here a little. If you see in this one, the customer decouple point means there is more specific, customer-specific development, and this is generic development. And in ERP, you bring all the complexity together. Now, we could decouple this one. And it was amazing. We could handle every piece of ERP. Engineer to order, make to order, assemble to order, make to stock, repetitive stuff, due to this customer order decouple point. That's even today unique. I will come later on, I will come on this point. Now, that resulted in 1998, Gartner mentioned, they called the name ERP, it was invented by Gartner, Enterprise Resource Planning, because they call it is the totally enterprise. Although it is not the totally enterprise, you do not have PLM in it. You do not have CRM in it. But okay, those days, we call it ERP seems, all the logistics seems enterprise. And in this enterprise, there are a few leaders. The leaders in the leadership quadrant of Gartner, and they call it BOBs, and they had one in even here was PeopleSoft, the HR part. But it was real ERP. Oracle to do the database. Now, Gartner mentioned in 1998, SAP is the biggest one, but we were winning the Boeing deal. And why could we win the Boeing deal? I said, but BAN is the best one. The most visionary ERP solution.
Do you think BAN potentially lost that when they got acquired by Infor? Or?
No, they lost a little the culture and technology, but ERP did not change.
Yeah.
Because ERP today is the same functionality that what it was in BAN and what it was in SAP. But ERP did not adopt the internet technology. That is the problem. Now, I could go, say, I could change a little here, go from here with the same ERP functionality to the internet, to the cloud, to the real infrastructure as service. But the problem is, in this world, we bring the same ERP stuff in it. That's the problem. Now, we'll come back on that one. Thanks for that question. Very good question, Darren, to see that. Now, from here, I moved again to the process. We say, okay, now let's take all those silos, and not only ERP, we take only, and not only SAP, we take Oracle, we take Microsoft, but you take even the PLM stuff, the CRM stuff. You all unite them, respect them, and bring them together with an enterprise service bus, but even with a grid, and bring them in a service-oriented layer, the BPM layer. And what you do then, you take your business services on top, but you adopt in your business service, you adopt your silos. That means these business services are end-to-end, but they are not native on the internet. They are adopting silos. And the silos are, say, legacy ERP solutions, even today. And what you do then, you take the database, SQL databases out of the silos, you unite them, you consolidate them in what we call the master data management. The metadata. Means from here you have the metadata, but from here you have only SQL, even today. Realize that. And it's only transactional. And here you move to the human, and you move to what we call this transactional. Here you move to case management, where the case rules, the rules are now crucial. And the rules, you can change the rule 1 second for a transaction. And when you take this one, you optimize it in business process management. And then you can do your business activity monitoring, BAM. Totally on the business process layer. But it failed. Even today, we see some is done, but all this is still there. The idea was that we rebuild this over time in this layer, in the BPM layer. But it was the infancy of the internet. That means you go from system of records to here systems of differentiation. A system of differentiation means end-to-end process. That's the whole enterprise. And I mentioned to you, we built the business process factory. That means on top, we did with no code. You see here, this is transactional database. But here you see document management. And document management, even today, was never integrated. Now, we integrated that 20 years ago already. With a document, you have a workflow, you have a task. These are documents. And here we were able, with no code, to integrate the document with the business process. That means here you have the world of business processes. Here we have the world of silos. But here we have the new world from microservice today. These are the world of workflow. Now, I'm already there 47 years in it, and we could decouple this stuff. And that's the unique element that we are able to take all the specific elements from this one together and unite them. And we united this in the business operating system. This is the operating platform. But I burned again my ships. Why? Why did I burn my ships again? And start again? Because this was built in the infancy of the internet. 20 years ago, there was no big data. There was no machine learning. And there was no AI. That means I took the functionality with me, and then I adopted the maturity of the internet, and I started from scratch and built it again here. But only here, not for ERP. I let's say ERP a little and do it on top. And it means here, now we say I inherited the legacy of BAN all the time. Although I sold BAN, but I had the legacy because 400 people, core people of BAN joined me already in 1998. And then we could continue there, and we say rapid software is a concept of inspiring by BAN, by the components architecture what I did already last century.
Yeah, it's the same culture, same processes.
The only technology became the car became an electric car, but it was more mechanical in the old way. But the principles are the same. You adopt new technology with the same business principles, and then you optimize the principles. Now, that means rapid focus and flexible adopting aligned with BAN original vision. This is still in line, and I'm that. I own this vision. We call it the BAN culture. Now, that means then ERP became complicated. Call it like, I built a metaphor, say ERP is like an enterprise, it's maybe something like a castle. It is so complicated, tens of thousands of database tables. You have all those stuff. It's too complicated to give it to the kids of Google. Yeah. And it is like data, like a glacier. In a glacier, you see the water came from the glacier is the data. And in the logic of the data, you have this Oliver Wright algorithms who were already in the glacier. Before ERP started, they started with the algorithms of Oliver Wright in the 70s. They are frozen. I call it a little symbolically, they are frozen, and then they are adopted with the water in the ERP part. But they cannot go in the supply chain downstream. It's too complicated. Now, then we moved, when I say now, 16 years ago, again, to the third wave of Rapid, was first called Vandenberg, and we call this ERP modernization. Means we like to modernize the whole enterprise, not giving ERP in the same. And they call it best practice as SAP, Oracle, they call it best practice, but best practice is not operation excellence. Best practice is what I built as ERP vendor, and I put it to your throat. And I'm only one focus to sell to you my intellectual property. And I'm not giving you, say, customer intimacy. And I'm not giving you operation excellence. Only I give it what I did. But it's not complete. And you should bring this up. Now, that's the problem now. What we now do, we take this old stuff, adopt it, and then we decouple ERP. Don't destroy it too early, because it's too complicated. The castle is too complicated. But we adopted this one, and we united with agentic AI-driven microservices.
These AI-driven microservices, is there no limitation on which ERP system they can be integrated with? Is, can all the ERP systems have some type of AI-driven microservices that are going to bring them?
Excellent question. People talking over AI and composing ERP, that's nonsense. This castle is not AI built. There's no value for ERP in the castle, only in the downstream. And if you do it with the obsolete technology of SAP or Oracle. And you do it not with the Google technology. That means this pseudo AI, and you do it with the limitation of the vendor with the obsolete technology? That's an extremely important question. And it's misleading in the market. And Eric Kimberling is also explaining that in a very good way, good manner. That's where Eric Kimberling came in, even with also a podcast last week, and say ERP, in ERP, AI have no value yet in the core element. But in the adopted ERP, in the supply chain, then it is valuable. We call it in the job to be done, from Christensen. And the job to be done is the supply chain is on the latest moment is the workflow. But the workflow should not be should be united with the glacier, with ERP, with the data of the glacier. And that is what happens now. We do document management, but it's not integrated with ERP. And in document management, we can do better their AI. Because there we have the benefit of collaboration. AI is, ERP is not collaborative. It's only a database. It's a transaction. Business process were collaborating, but the processes were too complicated with BPM. But now we move to workflow, and workflow is simple, the job to be done. But workflow should be united with all this, the data stream before. Now that's what we do. Yep, clear?
Yeah. I don't know if it's a little bit too soon to answer this question, but I was going to say, obviously, this AI-driven sort of solution, or the Rabbit solution, what would you say if a vendor or a SAP, for example, said, "Oh, we have the same solution. We can give
I will
you."
come there. I will come there. They mislead you.
Yeah.
They totally mislead you because they have only the glacier and the castle. And they do not have the fleet. I will come therein.
Yeah, I'll do it soon.
Go to the supplies. But it's a very good question. I will come therein. Now, we say with Rapid, we make your enterprise future ready. We call it enterprise grade. You do it for all the enterprise application solutions. Unite them. And we outperform our peers. And I've explained it why. Now, what is the problem today? Today, ERP is done with obsolete technology and they build costs. Commercial off-the-shelf solutions. And it's all done with technology of last century. That means, but they do it as no differentiation. They do it for every customer the same. That is what they call best practice. You cannot differentiate you with your competitor here. It is inflexible. It's transactional. There is no AI in. There is no case management in. And it is a tremendous proprietary solution. You're extremely locked in and you cannot escape. Then you do your customization. It's terrible. You do your customization with this old stuff. And you like to differentiate here with customization. But you do it in the stuff here. And you make it by far too complicated. If you do it yourself, if you forget this, you build your whole system, you cannot do it from scratch because it costs you too much. And you cannot do it because this is rocket science, you cannot build yourself. That means you combine this a little, it's terrible. You have limited talent pools because you pay not too much money. They all like to go to the vendors, they make more market cap, they have more shares value. The stock options by the vendors are more attractive than to work by a manufacturing company. Therefore, the talent pool is not there, and time to market is too slow. Now, and then traditional, you can do low code, no code. You combine it a little, you isolate, but you are still vendor lock-in. Mendix, OutSystem, etc. You're still in other runtime version on the modern internet, but you are even isolated, quite isolated from this world. It fits not in complex scenarios. You cannot build an ERP system in no code. It's too complicated. You cannot do the last mile. And here you do it not real cloud native. This no code is built in the infancy of the internet. It's not built in the, say, internet as a service in like the Google tools, etc. You in your heart, you're not cloud native. Now, this little where we're struggling today, it's too costly. And ERP is not delivering to the EBITDA. ERP is consuming the EBITDA. And 70% is not succeeding, is what Gartner is saying, is terrible. It's the mother of all complexity. Now, then I moved to a totally new world. For many years, 15 years already, we are in depth, 70 years in depth with Google. We are there a primary partner of Google, and we do all the DevOps and all the elements. We do all those services. We are the last 16 years in Cordis, in Rapid, after Cordis in Rapid, now in Vandenberg. We built all those DevOps infrastructure elements therein, and we handle that. And we do it with two products. We call the Rapid platform. Have two core elements: a developer and a composer. The composer was what I show you already in Cordis, was the composition of no code. It is no code. Here you do it without IT. You do it, no code, you don't need IT. The business can do this, 100%. And here you make the business developer, the Java developer, 4 times more productive. And the combination is unique. Here, IT can help you to do it faster, and here the business owns it. And the business can execute. The workflow can be totally done here. Have not to be done here. Now, that means when we're going, a Rapid developer is data modeling, workflow modeling. We say providing tools. We generate applications. We're not building it. We generate 80% can be totally be generated. Again and again, we call it ever young, evergreen. And we incorporate all the architectural elements like testing, like CI, continuous integration, continuous development. They are for 50 years totally united in the products.
How accurate have you found the code generation through sort of the AI integration? Because
totally incorporated. We see Gen AI is now in all our skills. We call it a factory. All our skills are united, integrated, incorporated with this stuff. We generate Java because we did it again and again. The generation part is every time to take the old one, and the generating part was increasing in the last 16 years. And the last 3 years, especially last year, we are coming to the agentic AI part, but it's totally native integrated. Because we generate, a year ago, we did not have agentic AI in it.
Yeah.
But we generate again the stuff, the core from a year ago and again. It is what we call evergreen. Now, and here we go to drop, and that means here the strong modeling, workflow engines for the human, the job to be done. Drop, drag and drop, and this runtime configurable. 1 second before the transaction, I can even make another script, etc., and do it again. We embedded the development tools. The development tools are totally integrated. And the runtime is platform. And you are even here is no login, this plain Java. And here we give it for free. And we are not charging the user. We are only charging the developer to use his tools.
Wow.
We give it free for the user. And if the users don't like us longer, they have still the version, the runtime version for themselves. They are not logged in. That makes it totally unique.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that means low code, but low code is limited. We call it low code speed. But we bring low code to high code flexibility and zero login. I believe it makes it totally unique because we came from the ERP world, what I mentioned already from Baan, where we're leading with the Baan shell, etc. All those elements, and even from Cordis, all those elements in 40 years of experience are built in this stuff. Now, that means that here I'm explaining it to you. This is the whole application development cycle, from beginning to end. It means here I can have the input to modernize it and take the input, the artifacts, and even bring it to modern application driven for the app user. And it's totally, again, integrated again and again. I can refresh it all the time. And here you see the whole factory elements. It means the development part is only here. But when I design the stuff, I design it already here with all the requirements again and again. Before we have the data model, we can show it already to the user what's coming on. And we build these famous wireframes again and again immediately. I go later deeper. It means the business logic and the wireframes can be communicated with the owner without IT. Before we talk IT, like here, I can talk with the COO here. That means, in my opinion, the CIO who's owning this one should report to the COO. IT should disappear and becoming part of the business. And now the business for the first time, that's revolutionizing, the business for the first time themselves can do it. And it's executing, it's generated here by IT. And now we do a famous element, we call it reverse engineering. I can reverse engineer all the applications from every screen, from OCR, etc. There is the AI stuff from the last couple of months. Therefore, the old logic stuff from SAP and Oracle can be easily reverse engineered in the next years to come. And that could be a killer for the big ERP vendors. And this is what AI brings us, but AI is only not enough with my knowledge, what we know from it.
Mm-hmm.
And you see amazing stuff in generating code in AI with these LM models.
Mm-hmm.
But we can here learn with this. We'll come. I will explain this later.
I was just saying, it shows obviously your AI sort of leadership throughout the Rabbit infrastructure. Kind of improves their technical step. So all of it before obviously sets them up to have the best possible and speed and flexibility when they get to that technical stage on their side.
You touched the core element, George, because normally ERP is built in the transactional system 40 years ago. But I, for the third time, rebuilt everything in the infrastructure as a service. Mm-hmm. And there I have all my AI and everything from Google available in cybersecurity, etc. Mm-hmm. And then we moved here, and then moved to ongoing monitoring. All those stuff are totally in the factory, totally used. Here we have an S-bomb. In manufacturing, you have a bill of material. We have an S-bomb from software bomb. And the S-bomb means the bill of material. All those components are united with the software bill of material.
It's a modern approach to ERP.
It's not modern, like you see a car. You see all this. You have sometimes 10 levels deep as a software bill of material, but all those these last layers are totally united together to one product called the car. Mm-hmm. Now that's the same we do with software. Yeah. We can do there also what we see predicted maintenance and all those elements. That helps me tremendous in the deployment course, in DevSecOps, security, development ops, the building testing. This is where we do it in a factory. Here, I believe we are unique in the whole industry. And then we do this ongoing monitoring, traceability, and all those stuff. This is my software factory. It's runtime adaptable. Now, that means now I have all those technology underneath with the software bill of material. This all my technology components, what I have to build myself in course. Mm-hmm. Now I go to Google, I have the whole infrastructure as a service. It took me tens of millions to build that in the beginning of the century with platform as a service. And I destroy it. I say, let's Google do it, or Amazon, or Microsoft. And all these open source elements. And we go to the latest version of open source. What are we doing here? And then my source code will immediately distribute in GitLab. Now, all those elements are united together and could be refreshed every moment and are decoupled. I'm not decoupled even on this. I'm decoupled. I'm not locked in with technology. Now, here we do our intellect documents with my reverse engineering stuff, like OCR in depth, where we do all these document elements. And we make there with undoc generic documents from every statistical document. Now, to configure. Now, this is my whole manufacturing infrastructure like you have a car. Mm-hmm. And on top, we have our microservices. Now, you cannot do it overnight. It cost me and my gray hair, took me 47 years. Mm-hmm. But I did it again and again. Mm-hmm. In Baan, 40 years ago, I did already a lot like this, but it was all technology. But the principles were more or less the same. Now, that means we go from the idea to even the AI stuff totally integrated. Mm-hmm. All those stuff is one, because this AI layer is now totally integrated to the whole platform. And here, the ERP guys doing with a little limitation functionality in the old source code from ERP. And they have no value. The value is only downstream. Mm-hmm. The more downstream, now you can do all this business logic. We do the code generating, executing models, agentic workflow, reusable building blocks. Now, this is a manufacturing process around all those stuff. Multi-devices. Now, it makes us here what we built. We built core systems, very complicated. Rabbit is powerful enough to build everything. Could build a totally ERP system, but why should I do it now? It's better to do it downstream and use the workflow and incorporate a legacy system here for a while. Because the functionality is good enough from the legacy, it will come there. It's still like it's still the algorithms from 40 years ago, 50 years ago.
I mean, with your microservices and sort of agentic AI approach, obviously you can make that legacy system probably as good as sort of
Much better.
the upgrade or better than the.
Yeah, we say sunset. We rebuild it from here.
Yeah. But what happens when, like SAP, for example, they stop support on ECC, or they say, then what happens?
I like it. You go to Remini Street is doing still the support. ECC is good enough. If you go to HANA, you have nothing more in functionality. Only you go to the cloud, but it's 10 times more even complicated. Okay. And ECC, you know it. You should not go to HANA. Continue with ECC for the next 10 years. It's stable, it's strong enough. Can be supported by Remini Street if you need, but you need no support because you're not changing it. Don't change. Then there's nothing you need, even no support. But if needed, you can have the support. I will come back. The question is on the smart. I will come back on that. Now, here we say high complex business, etc. Here you build full stuff. And here we built a totally new transportation system for Collier. It's one of the world leading transportation systems. What we did from scratch to transportation is not good in the ERP part. Now, I will come back there. Now, here we built, even for Solvay, we built for in-depth all the Google tools, we built a cybersecurity element, the whole landing zone. And this whole landing zone is now an accelerator. And standard as a generic part, we have all the tools for a landing zone. And when I go to a multinational company with 100,000 employees, they have also those elements. We can share it in a couple of weeks. We built for them the whole landing zone personally, but from a generic standpoint. This is again an extremely important element compared with everything we have in our tools. These are accelerators. We have Undock as an accelerator where we take all documents, and landing zone is a cybersecurity accelerator. And everything is safe here, even in a bubble. We say employee on board, we do it in 1 second, and all those guys immediately are united in all those elements. Standard tendency, what about managed access, automation. We spent 15 years of a lot of knowledge herein, and we united and bundled them with some of the world-leading customers in Google, in security compliance. Just again, productized. Now, what means that now we say future ready means no limitation, because there is no platform dependency. It's generated in GitLab, Java, they're in open elements. It's ideal for complex and customized applications. Unique, but you have a totally other element than every competitor has. And we can combine that with generic and specific elements. Infinite scalable. If you look by what we see, Valeo, 120,000 employees, we have been run for tens of very robust microservices where we replace Lotus Notes applications. And they have sometimes 80,000 users, and it's scalable from 1 user in the midnight, 2 users to 80,000 on daytime. And we do it in seconds. In the infrastructure as a service is unlimited, scalable, from all the latency of the data is handled therein. And even together with the decoupled IoT, the real-time data, we can unite them even together. Now, and it is very important. For the last 10 years, it's proven as enterprise grade. What we did by big companies like for Solvay, Valeo, etc. That means enterprise grade microservices.
With enterprise grade features, how are you grading that? Is that off the same results?
Yeah,
the enterprise features.
Because the results are now optimized from decoupled workflow elements and united with the backend. That means the results are, I will show you later. This is also a very good question. I will show you that later in detail. The results are much better. It's more, the EBITDA will increase tremendous. And the technology is state of the art, the latest technology of the internet. That means it's scalable from a technology standpoint. And the results are the first time end-to-end enterprise grade. With all the data is an end-to-end data stream. I will show you that later.
The reason I mentioned that is because I know people in the community that have, they call them bolt-ons, or they had a bolt-on previously and then it's not worked, it's not integrated properly, or, a very cheap sort of solution or a cheap add-on. And then it's ruined the ERP system. So I know some people are a little bit wary, or we only want to buy add-ons, or we only want to buy extra features from the vendor, from the thing. But I just wondered how you'd sort of show that the
Yeah, good question. We park it for a while, then I show it you in my metaphors in an easy way. We park it for a while, I will come back therein. Yep. Now, no vendor lock-in, but I mentioned already. Code generating, freedom to develop on your own code, and there is no legacy. Which is evergreen. We regenerate. This is also a unique element. Because it's generated, but you see, if you build some things in Mendix Out Systems, you start from now, you integrate, you do, and you have the same foundation. You will increase in 5 years longer. You build this stuff, but it's not refreshed. We did it already with the bound shell to refresh. That is an element from generating code. Instead of, if you're modeling, then you are locked in from your modeling model, and you continue more models, but you cannot go back. Yeah, that means build to extend. You can have an ERP system and you build something extended. And you have easy code generating add-on. It's built to change. You take the old ERP, you build something new in the SCC or any solution. You build some stuff, and it's built to last forever, young, etc. Now that means here, rehost, lift and shift. You can rehost it again and bring it in, and you reshape it, replatform, re-architecture, rebuild, replace in these tools. Here you take your services, you build it in, and you're developing and bring it there. Now, this is amazing what he did now here. This is what you can do in a creative way. If you have a very smart architect who's a little creative, then with the business owner, the architect can draw a picture. And then maybe create a deal. And then you have to go before IT. And if you have a very smart architect, he can do everything here. Only a few people in the world can do this from ERP. But then you can communicate, but the creative people cannot understand this one. Now, and then it takes, then you have a starting point from IT and do in the next couple of months a lot of stuff, but you never can go back. The first day, the IT guys are working, you cannot go back. Now what we do, from here, immediately, in a few minutes later, I'm creating these wireframes. From drawing to wireframes, this is a revolution. And from here, immediately, I create the wireframes. For Plucon is slaughtering 10 million chickens in a week with big SAP users, and we built very complicated stuff in a very simple way. Hoyer, what I mentioned. And all these wireframes, in 5 minutes, again, they can generate. And here I can do wireframes without even the data model. We suggest already some things. From here, understanding more or less the stuff, we build the wireframes, and then we use it already, and it's already clear more or less what is going. And then from immediately I generate code in the same afternoon. And then here we take all these tables, etc., and take what emails and what's the visualization of the data model. And this together with some IT guys helping me and the owners in 1 day already, we give already a suggestion, and we can go again and again. I can do this and refresh it every moment. Now, this is a unique element, this is wireframes. Now, then we generate our section, say the inventory, what means it, and only one time for all the applications, I can make my elements like the font, my elements. What font do I need this day or so? It makes it the UX extremely simple. Now, here you can generate the containers, what you see in what you tab, your section, your card, your widgets, your pages, and if you go even in the widgets, your input fields, now everything, click, and for 80%, you click further, and you see you're coming in all those applications, and then you say here, okay, now, and then here we build some things, and this is an interesting element, what we call an Eierkamp is a furniture customer, and the furniture customer do not have so strong relationships with all these vendors because they deal with catalogs of 25 or 50 vendors, and they have all these catalogs, they have all these documents, and from all these documents they have to configure their orders. Even in this modern way, from IT, the internet way, only these catalogs are even there in documents, and it takes them a day before they can configure. Now, we did it with Undoc in 1 minute. We make it dynamic. That means we can take these traditional elements and make it even dynamic to bring it in. Now, that means we are generating all those applications and what's doing therein, and bring it, and who is owning this one, and all this stuff therein. Now, that makes real modern elements. And if you do it mobile, we do it real mobile native. I see here a screen, and let me see the Google element one screen. But if you look to this one screen, here I have two screens, but it's only Google. But in every mobile, I can have left and right already 3 screens together. If I build a smart screen here for all the input, and I need all the barcodes can be done already, on the other moment I have another screen to the left and to the right, and they can all unite it already 3 together. Means I can now do 10 times more on a mobile phone.
Yeah.
But then you have to do it very smart to make it UX understandable for the human. That is where UX is coming in and make the difference. Now, from here, we kill every spreadsheet. Means what you see in ERP, the end of ERP is a spreadsheet. And what you do then, and that means you take your data models and then you adopt them in a spreadsheet. And then with a spreadsheet, you have a PDF, and you can communicate the spreadsheet. You call it digital. That's nonsense. Has nothing to do with digital. The end is PDF. And before you have a boardroom, 3 days before the boardroom, you had already the spreadsheet, and then you change the spreadsheet. Not in a dynamic way. This is the most dangerous program in the world. But everyone is using it. Now, what we do, we say, forget the spreadsheet. Every spreadsheet can be changed in 1 minute, can be adopted. In a dynamic, even, that means our rapid workflow can adopt in 1 minute every spreadsheet and bring already every meaning in a dynamic new way. Here, the end of digital is a spreadsheet, and it's becoming a statical document. But here we transfer the spreadsheet in a dynamic workflow. You know what I mean? Now, that means stop waiting months for IT. You solve your business problem time faster. Enable your changes. Transform spreadsheet with all the knowledge you have in the spreadsheet immediately, and then you optimize it in a collaborative way, because the citizen developers can work together without code. And it can work united. They collaborate together in one spreadsheet with 30 people. But it's not only the spreadsheet. They have all the say microservice elements like transport, like Google Maps or anywhere. All those elements are united.
Is accessibility, flexibility, and in 7 months it takes days, which is
And now the accessibility of a spreadsheet is dead. They have no flexibility. We continue. That means we go from the SQL data, from transactional data, we went in chorus to metadata, but here we are in semantic data. Everything is now semantic data. Now, that means here, if you look this acceleration part, etc., where we're doing it. Now, we see now 5 times more growth is expanded, what the guy is saying. In the composer world, the guys, the knowledge workers are expanding, and they're taking over the IT part. It's expanding 5 times, 85% saying, yeah, I like it, no code. It takes you 5 minutes to compose an app on your mobile, 0 coding, and these containers. Now, that means we have 2 products, amazing products with Power Apps from Microsoft, they're dealing with spreadsheets, and F-Sheet from Google. But we do app without a sheet, and they're dying. They cannot make the complexity of this workflow. What we do in Rapid, we unite them. We adopt this one. You don't need them. The no code can be done in a very professional way. We can go further than only this one. At the other end, we have this high functionality low code, but I mentioned already it's limited. OutSystem, Mendix, My Process, Process Maker. It's hard to do the last mile here. That's what we're doing here. Now, we unite these 2 ones in a unique way. And we adopt this one. Now, that means here, what you build, what you own. And we say, now, let me explain here. It's always, let it stay for a while. The ERP core, it is easy for me to rebuild, to make a totally new ERP system in microservices. But why should I do it? Let it stay for a while. Now, And that means the ERP core can stay, it's still transactional, but you minimize the bespoke. The bespoke, all this bespoke stuff, bring it back, take it out, and bring it back to here in microservices. And you do it very, very fast. That means now you have an SAP without bespoke. We call it vanilla SAP.
Mhm.
Even if you vanilla ECC, you can go even to vanilla HANA. It's not so complicated.
Okay.
But with the bespoke, you cannot go to HANA.
Yeah.
That's
It's
the problem.
You have to change the whole system. And, yeah. Makes
That's
sense.
terrible. And the bespoke is done with the technology of the 90s
Mhm.
in BAPIs.
Mhm.
And here you have technology 50 times faster. That means we say here, and here we take all the SQL data, and immediately I take the SQL data and bring it in BigQuery of Google,
Mhm.
in the BigQuery Google Data Lake. Then I have from the limitation of SQL, after an MRP run every day, I take the data immediately in a semantic environment in a data lake from Google.
Mhm.
And from here, I can continue here. And this could be done every day. This is still one version of the truth. Every day, I can adopt this very easy in a simple way.
Yeah.
And did I note this data? I don't need them every second from the ERP world.
Yeah.
But here, data becoming more development. And here we'll wrap it in microservices, prototyping cloud, say, and no vendor lock-in, and we reduce cost of sales. Now, if you have 2,000 users here, go and say, and maybe even use it by 500 users and bring all these users here.
Yeah. It's,
Because
yeah.
the users here are too complicated to learn the SAP complexity, and you reduce the complexity of the knowledge worker. Here we increase the functionality.
Yeah. Increased functionality, and it's
Yeah. As simple.
maximizing those the cost.
Yeah.
On the last page, I know it mentioned it solves business problems 4 times faster.
Yeah.
Obviously, the minimized licensing cost. It might be hard to work this out. I don't know if you have this stat, but do you have like a stat saying on average how much a user saves or how much a business saves financially?
Now, normally, I should say, at the end, you can do it for 10% of the cost.
Right. Okay.
In the meantime, you can do it without investing money to replace it with the same money you pay for the service. That means there's no investment needed. Here, there's no, you win immediately, you win a lot of costs from here. What you can use already here, there's no additional investment.
Because I thought if a business went to S4HANA and they're spending 10, 20 million euros,
Yeah.
and then they implement this, it saves them money and they don't spend 20 million.
Yeah, because if instead of spending 20 millions, here with 2 million, you have by far more enough to do everything. And then over time, you have to pay nothing over time.
Yeah.
No, but the cost is by far less than the benefit. The benefit is maybe 3 times more EBITDA.
Yeah.
Here is the EBITDA coming. Now here we see the knowledge worker, and there is micro app. And micro app is a differentiator of microservice. This is totally without IT. And this is the business executive, the job to be done on the latest moment. This is extremely flexible. Here we make the money. And here AI bring the most. This is on the end. This is the end process, is the work to be done. Here, and the more on the end, downstream, you make the most money. There you collect, you do the invoice.
Yeah. It makes the whole business more profitable.
Exactly.
And streamlines it in accessibility, makes the functionality of the users 10 times more efficient.
Exactly. And George,
yeah.
Here there is no supply chain. You cannot deal with a supply chain. Here you participate together in a supply chain. I will come back even here. Now, that means going here, I call this the internet of the business. Because in my time in Baan, there was no browser. But later on, the browser came and all the participants united themselves in a browser. That means we see CATIA, they can say we have a bill of material. And with the bill of material, I can connect here also with ERP. And between this one, we have a bill of material. But both we have a browser and both the data from both systems can be united here. Even we have not to go to monolithic, it's better to go here to best of breed. Maybe you have some small companies dealing with Infor and the consolidation by SAP or by Oracle. And here you can have different pieces and you need to make to order. You can have different vendors here. And the data is all united by the internet in the internet of business. You do not need the financials of SAP. You can go to Workday. And you take your Workday financials, who is more modern. They are in the cloud. Why should you do it in SAP HANA? That is more modern. But why should you not do it with local financial small vendors? Take it here, like your payroll, etc. In every country, you take your simple vendor, have more a cloud solution. Why should you do CRM? The order to cash can be better done by Salesforce. They know CRM. And do it not in SAP. If you go to SAP, and if you look real, there the complexity elements, what we see in the Q2Pay stuff, etc., that is by far too complicated. It's not integrated even. If you look to it now, but and they will see the enabling, the order to cash, idea to market to order. But why should we not use them all together and bring it here? No, over time, let it stay, and here we bring new stuff, strengthening the flexibility. That means, and I call this the Internet of People, the latest moment here. The microservices are Internet of People. And they are not a microservice, they are Internet of Processes. Now, what I'm doing then here, I say, no, and even what I did, no, I built for 50 years ago, 80 years ago for Vallejo, if not 120,000 people, here 110,000 employees in 184 factories in 33 countries. They use 40,000 SAP users in a data lake from IBM. But they decided not to do R&D in SAP, the projects of R&D in SAP. They say that's too complicated. And the R&D projects are more Kanban oriented. And they came to the close, that means there's 2 billion in R&D for 20,000 people. They are isolated from this 40,000 users here, but still are integrated, but decoupled. And they did it with Microsoft's project in the beginning, because that is more Kanban oriented. The Gantt chart was integrated with this Microsoft project solution. And the Gantt chart is a better representation than masterwork and scheduling from here. This is complex, what I show you in the beginning is masterwork and scheduling. But the Gantt chart is more specific oriented from the project, who is no longer generic, but then you have to follow only the steps in the projects. And therefore you can do project management much simpler than ERP. Now, what had the problem? This was old stuff. And they asked us in the last 15 years to build for 20,000 users, all microservices around this one. The hour accounting, they do 3 million hours in a month, and it took them for every employee half an hour. Now we do it now in 2 minutes with machine learning, with timesheets. We build it for everyone, these timesheets in microservices for all the 20,000 users. The management, with thousands of managers, they have my team capacity. Could not come out this one. It is in microservices. My team workload, my industry project, my dashboard, investments, my programs, my advanced. Thousands of managers are using this one on top of the core of this. Now, and then 3 years ago, we totally replaced this part with microservices in a totally new model. That means we built a rapid project module in microservices. And we built it in 3 months in totally modern elements. It is on Docker. That is my new model. It's running for 20,000 people, and we were able to implement it in 1 week. Why? Here we built everything that people should be intuitive implemented. 20,000 people cannot go on a course for 4 days. Now, we built this project for the way the people are working. In ERP, you have to learn as human what the logic is doing. But here you build it for the human. Now, there's a big difference. Now, what we did then here, now we'll show here, we say here, now in this isolated element, if you're coming here, say this, here we take this, wait a moment here, this stuff, see this in the metaphor as this iron fleet, this big castle. Essential, and here this focusing on transactions. But here we focus on flow. If you go here, these are the microservices doing. If you have to build that in the castle, it's 10 times too expensive, and you cannot do this one, decouple this one. The castle was more protected from the ERP part, but was not looking to the river, who came out of the real what we see. Now, here we say then, we take this ERP, this legacy, traditional, and we bundle that in all these modern microservices. Now, that means the AI is not so much here, but no, that's not meaning we bring the AI here. This agentic AI. I mean, here the overall team is dynamic, forward-looking. The concept, the crossroad of enterprise is going digital. And the legacy part and Unite, they have to combine. Now, that is still traditional. I have to change nothing. But the internet, the browser allows me to adopt this one. And now I see 90% more money is here, is outside ERP in the future. 90% of the business there. Enjoy it. Now, you follow it so far?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was like, as I mentioned, combined sort of stability and agility. With the sort of also user training and sort of the accessibility to it, is it, I'm guessing it's going to be 10 times quicker for someone to understand
yeah,
this.
sure.
It's more accessible. It's not as
I will show
complicated.
you that. Yeah.
Yeah.
See it here. Now, means this enabling transformation. Everything is collaborative here now. And what we're doing, AI on its own is an agent. But the agent is nothing. The agent is the butler. And the agent has no right. The agent only should communicate with the human. The agent makes the human 4 times smarter. The human can be 4 times better for the EBITDA. Due to the agent, everyone has now butlers. And the butler is not doing the last mile. The last mile, the perfect is the enemy of the good. This has not to be perfect. The butler has the wisdom to optimize the algorithms and knowledge. The knowledge is coming from AI, but the implementation of the knowledge is wisdom is done still by the knowledge worker. And people are afraid, but what you can do in your profession, you can increase these people and we together can train them better and learn them.
Yeah.
Those knowledge workers can be 4 times more effective. That's what the expectation is. Yeah. And it's a new way of real, where you have recruitment. There's a totally new way of recruitment. And recruitment, if you do it without this one, but you do the recruitment by humans. And the core is still the human. And not, I mean, people should not be afraid, they be learning.
Yeah, definitely not. The AI is going to increase productivity and make the average employee more potent in what they do.
Yeah.
But if as long as you learn them sort of new processes and new systems and how to optimize AI, you're going to be 4 times better yourself. And if a business does that with its employees, then as you mentioned, the EBITDA or the value of the business is going to be 4 times better. So
now we say here, now AI came from the Collier. This AI data with all these algorithms are here, and they were little. The smelting water was used in the castle, and the outcome from all the logic is an SQL data stream. And it's coming downstream, SQL. But we can pick it up in Google, we optimize them, and we bring them here in a dynamic stream. This is the river is the value, but it's only the beginning. The river is the internet, whose everything is driving on the river is communicating. And here we see this smart element, big data with BigQuery can do much, they can replace big elements from ERP already here. Now this is the agentic stuff, the unified data, the flow is unified data flow, the whole river. From the beginning to till the sea. It's a unified data flow. That means we bring in the SQL data lake. The BigQuery is coming in an SQL new data lake. And then we have these smart boats who are 10 times faster and so simple, they are united and 5 people can do it instead of 500 people can do it too complex. Now, we should not replace everything today. Over time, we don't need it, then we make a museum of it. Because all these people have a lot of money. Now, what we do now here is say, okay, we go in here. If you look to the river, the more downstream you see here now, here we have these undock problems. All these statistical documents can be totally converted to these real entities, what we have real in microservices. Here we see the digital best of breed business solution becoming totally digital. We see still, we have data further on the middle. Google have advanced data management, what we call still, and what you do, and with BigQuery and customer data. And we have a customer data platform. That means Google understands already the data on the end of the river on the consumer, and they can bring it here. We do it, we have it for Omoda in the retail already. where we have the data from the consumer is already known by Google. We can unite them with the same data from the council. Now, this is a revolution. Here we say this is high scale. Internet of Business can scale everything. And we bring a tremendous productivity on the EBITDA here, if you go, but more downstream. Now, that means here we call it rigid and inflexible. That's the cars. It's real rigid. You can change it, but let it stay for a while. ECC is good enough. You have not to go to HANA. And even it is transactional oriented.
Yeah. Do you think that's ever going to be the case? Obviously, like at some point, are you going to have to go? But you think it's 10
but instead of HANA, go over time here.
Yeah.
5 years from now, HANA is obsolete.
Right. Okay.
Now, and you say, what is then the data? Now, the data still in Oliver Wright is stored in the frosty, even what you see here in the glacier. This every ERP system is dependent on Oliver Wright algorithms, and nothing changed there. They're 40 years old. Not people do not understand. That means there is still a lot of value in this glacier.
Yeah.
Let it stay here. Now, in AI can bring better algorithms here and bring it here.
Do you think? So do you think the future of enterprise resource planning is all going to be on the river in this analogy?
Exactly.
All on sort of the river and sort of more agile and more customizable.
Yeah, but here we are ERP. Here we go to processes. We say ERP. We bring processes together, but we cannot see the end. 40 miles, 100 miles later, we cannot see the end of the river. And what is the end of the river? Is supply chain. Here we are in the end of the river. Here we are 100 miles further. And here we make what we call this seamless, dynamic, end-to-end data available from SQL. We take them here, all the data, and the knowledge workers, independent, are 4 times faster what you recruit them. And here we make this totally new, say, workflow applications, scalable, and here we increase the EBITDA. Here, job to be done on the latest moment, the job to be done can never be here and cannot even. This is process. And this is workflow. You understand? I hope this metaphor gives people a totally new understanding in what we're doing. And this is zero lock-in. And this is what Christian said. The job to be done is the only element what we do. Now, if you go to another metaphor, we say now, this is all this complicated stuff from here. We call it, you say high cost, slowness, limited differentiation. But here I do reverse engineering with this undock. Because every screen from ERP, I see the screen. That means every screen here, this old screen, immediately is translated to me to knowledge. Every SAP screen immediately gives me already a data model. Reverse engineering, this is a revolution. Extracts from data legacy, provide a deep understanding from all those, because you are using it. It's not rocket science. I see the input, don't see the SAP logic, but I can translate the logic and I see the output. And then I replace it from outside with these microservices. These breakthrough transform static information from ERP into dynamic. This, if you are here, this is static. This is extremely dynamic with the same data. Now, that makes, and here new functionality are generated to modern workflows. That's what we do here. Now, that means if you're looking here, then it's a real beneficial transformation, enable flexibility, provide you guys can be 4 times more better for the EBITDA. If we train guys like here to improve data flow. Here we say, okay, enterprise transformation partner. Now we can deal with partners now who can what we say the ISVs, small ISVs, what we say more boutique ISVs immediately can be in the boardroom, make my sales cost less, and can be united by us in one supply chain. We all know, we see the benefit of AI. We rapid in the microservice and force agility. That means here, I should say, here you see now we go to the C. And still all the data is available. The Internet of People understand all these IoT sensors, etc. All these people, and the Internet of Business can unite together. That means here in the future we see more and more where we all can collaborate together. Here is where the EBITDA reel makes it totally unique. Now that means Say again?
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Now, and here we see the ASIC role. Now, what the agents are doing, they orchestrate, enable. They can do what we cannot do. They can go to every website. We don't need websites longer. We don't need catalogs. They can see the procure to pay, order to cash. They can do a lot of stuff, empower citizens, and create. And what they do then on the end, they only here help the human.
Mm-hmm. I was just the slide when the reason I was thinking before was the slide around being, or Robert being a transformation partner. So are you guys looking to offer? Yep, this is the one.
Yeah, I offer to many partners.
Yeah.
The small ones. I don't need Capgemini. If I have a boutique firm, some guys in Australia are very smart and can do it. They can do it with 5 people. They can partner already. I do not need a sales rep. We can unite together, and together we can share the money. Yeah. Now they make no money from SAP. I can share the money with them. We are 10 times cheaper. We can do more, and we can do it under one umbrella. Mm-hmm. And over time, they can do more. The service can take the service over. Mm-hmm. And they franchise our methodology. That's what I use here. Mm-hmm. If you know partners, if you can find partners or people what you know, they can start their own business. Maybe you need smart people, what you recruited already 20 years ago. They could start with 2 people, smart businesses.
Yeah, because I was just thinking on that topic, if let's say a company hadn't gone to the cloud, they were all on-prem, right? Mm-hmm. We want to go to do a cloud migration. They come to you and let's say they go to SAP, you're 10 times cheaper.
Yeah, exactly.
You can do it 4 times faster.
Yeah, and you're safe for life. You continue to be their strategic partner. They can be in the boardroom continuously their strategic partner to optimize the EBITDA. Because here we see they empower the citizen users. Mm-hmm. It could be smart people around the world who are AI adopted by our tools. The human interaction is now highlighted new technology. They can online, they have not to travel. And they have more leisure time to do it, more relaxed. Now, coming here, we say, now this may be the end when I watch this one. I maybe, let me translate this picture. This picture. What can we bring here? The whole new world here is this world. Here can be, a lot of stuff can go from here to here. The internet of people. And there is this picture. So we go here. Here we say everything here, e-invoicing, we did it already totally with CPQ, can be much better done in the river. Have not to do in the council. Order to cash, why should we do it by Salesforce? It's still old-fashioned technology, a little, the infancy of the internet. Purchase acknowledgement, we can do very smart elements. You take master scaling. Why the spare parts is terrible often. Why should we do the spare parts in the castle? They don't know it. We do it on the end of the river. Mm-hmm. I mentioned you project management. This project management solution, what we did by Valeo, could be decoupled from ERP. And then you take half of the ERP use already out. Why should you transportation management? It's not understanding in ERP. We do it. The river understands transportation management. Here we have a TMS solution. Shop flow control, what you show already with these smart elements on the mobiles, we have not to do an ERP. We can do it in the mobile themselves on a very smart way here. Mm-hmm. MES, everything is Internet of Things. The IoT part, we needed 1 second for the transaction. We do it here out of ERP. ERP doesn't understand warehouse management. We build a very smart modern warehouse management solutions. It's doing here. Now, but here we say the more downstream, the data is follow you. And more downstream, you have your digital data in the supply chain. Here we take the transactional data out of the castle, let it save what ECC is good enough. We bring it into Google Cloud. We do all the DevOps, SevOps, the citizen, the job to be done, the composer. Here, the logistic processes are still here in the vendor lock-in world. Now, it took me 47 years to do this. Mm. We have some other upstream elements, best of breed, CRM, PLM, MNS. Do it not in SAP HANA. Take it with other traditional ERP. Take Infor together and take Microsoft together. from the upstream world. Now, here we say agile AI, what we do with this stuff, rapid composer, the Kubernetes way of thinking. That is the element what we do. The Kanban, the Kubernetes containerization. That allows this one to do it here. Now, that means this one can be done here. 10 times enabling, if you look, elements, what Third Stage mentioned therein. No, they mentioned my name, Erik Kimberling, in what we do in this, they call it Erik Kimberling call it the enterprise operation, digital enterprise operations, the new stuff. And Erik is smart thinking in this area. Now, and he put 10 players in, but all these 10 players, they have billions of market cap. 54, SAP HANA, but like you do 200 billion. Salesforce, 200 billion, number 3. But they do little AI. This means this AI part, is AI enabled, this top 10 from Erik Kimberling. But they have here, they are smart in AI, but they have no ERP. They are a big ERP, but a little AI. Like Salesforce, like Microsoft, like Oracle, like Workday, like NetSuite. And then you have some 3 ones else. They do server like ServiceNow, Rapid, and Odoo. He put us as number 9. Odoo is smaller, quick, and not so much AI, but quick and alternative. Now, we are private. Everything is paid, 100% under my control, and we're dealing with this big one. That means I can give more money to my partners to do it together.
Yeah, do you think you'll always keep it private? Like
no, not always. It's overcoming. My family, again, they're becoming a unicorn, I believe.
Yeah.
And therefore, but so far, it's under control. It's not shared up. That means I could never, being private, is the only reason I could build it. No board, no venture capitalists allow me, and they do not understand this one.
Yeah, look what happened previously. You gave me them examples before where you lose that sort of control on innovation.
Yeah, and I did it with money from market cap already, selling shares. But bring it back. Now, that means coming to a conclusion here. Wait a moment. Now, I'm invited by Erik's element is nice therein. This is in September. He see me as a keynote. Do it here. Now, if you look, something is even and then this done there. And this one, this man here was doing. Now, this is also, if you link this one from what I did with Sean, it's a nice podcast. It's also interesting to see this one, where I explained it in 20 minutes. It's a nice podcast to show this, where he... The question is, if you look to complex stuff, you have also gained 3 layers. In the car, you have even what we call theoretical stuff, you have even the electronical stuff and the software. But these three technology waves have to unite together. And therefore, if you are trying to do everything in a modern way, you cannot do it. You have to combine it. And that's what we see now. Let me stop sharing. I come back and sharing.
Yeah. There we go. No problem. I'll definitely, if you can send me the link, or if you've got the after, I'll definitely take a look at it.
5 seconds. But then you need a fleet who is communicating there. This is microservices. Now you should combine that. People should have a creative way of thinking in an architectural element. Yeah. Okay, but I'm saying now, coming to a conclusion. First was mainframes, only IBM. Then I started in the PC revolution. I did it with multitasking, multi-user technology like SAP. But we had some people that became an IPO for $1 million. But those people came from the mainframe. I came from microservice. Now, then tremendous things changed was the Netscape. But Bill Gates killed it, but he had a browser, the internet. And we have many people who make hundreds of millions market cap in the internet revolution. Boom. And every wave is going faster. Then we move to the mobility, and now we see we have the guys, what we call the Agentic 7, have 17,000 billions of market cap. Now, but they're filling their pockets. But in tomorrow's world, the money is no longer to the NVIDIA only, but for the manufacturing companies should make their money. That's where we're going now. AI brings the wisdom in the factories. In tomorrow's world, we see the money is going here. Now that means, in my opinion, concluding, this was ERP. It is like a big castle, transactional, terrible. You see this 3-tier architecture. Now, You cannot change this one. But we encapsulate this castle, SAP, Oracle, etc. Extremely complicated. And you are locked in. Now, I made it in this castle. We isolate the castle. You see the little, and we do the rapid transformation. Now, in this slide, I'm generating automatically these slides. I did it in few hours, all this stuff, generated by Google, because I had my scripts, I took the knowledge in. Now, here you see now the core elements. This ERP logic, we let it stay, but we bring a totally new castle, this Google platform. And between these two castles, we have the river. And Google and the other ones allows me in the river to have all this infrastructure as service. And here we do all this stuff here. Yeah, you follow this?
Yeah.
We bring this together from this old world. Now, then coming here to the conclusion, what I mentioned here, do this here. Now, I think this brings us the whole river and brings it together. Now, let me conclude. Conclusion is that what we do here, we translate that to EBITDA. And in today's world, the EBITDA is eaten by the castle. There's no EBITDA coming out of ERP. It's destroying. There is an ecosystem of SAP from 300 billion every year have to pay by the EBITDA by the companies.
Yeah, so you mentioned the Gartner report, 70% of the ERP projects either cost more, fail, or only 30% succeed.
It's not a lot. Therefore, I'm saying can be 10 times cheaper.
Yeah.
Totally is like $1 trillion you take SAP, Oracle, and all the players. It's more than $1 trillion every year is going to the P&L of manufacturing companies.
Wow.
That means it can be $1 trillion can be saved and it can come to the EBITDA of manufacturing companies, more or less. I mean, and I'm doing it here. I think, but I cannot. But from Google, from here, you cannot do it. You need still this stuff. And I am born here. Now that means this is decoupling ERP allows me to even propel the EBITDA with agentic services, and the EBITDA with the agentic services is increasing the knowledge worker. And the knowledge worker is the core element, is 4 times more productive, and that is what your profession is. You bring the profession to recruit the right knowledge worker and to support to the boardroom. Now, let's stop maybe here. How are you looking to it, George? Can you make it sense?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of customers or a lot of clients or businesses that I speak with that would be interested in a solution that's, future-proof, cheaper, and obviously promises the success for the business, and actually focus on trying to make the business successful and profitable. So yeah, I think there's definitely a opportunity for me to share this with my clients. And the only questions I would have would be, if I speak to my clients or I speak to people in the community, their objections might be, well, SAP have told me that they can give me the same AI functions, or and I understand Rabbit's cheaper, it's 4 times quicker with this sort of topic. But if someone said to you, SAP can give you the same products, what would your
yeah, but SAP gives you only this little one from the app. They have nothing with EBITDA to do. SAP can give you not a river. Can give you not, and people are not aware of it because yesterday we could not deal with the river. We also protecting the glacier with the castle. Only we went to here, and it was enough, and everyone came to ERP in the old stuff. And then with workflows, with also document management, they pick some things up, not integrated. Now we bring a totally revolution to the EBITDA. The value is here downstream the river. And AI can never come here, but you're locked in. And then with Eric Keller, even if you look, Eric Kimmeling last week explained the element where he trusts not ERP for the API, for the AI standpoint. They do only very simple AI from here, and you are misleaded. And no one, and Google cannot do it because we have not the data. Now I bring the bridge here to decouple ERP and bring it even in what we say in SQL data lake, and bring the water totally available. And now step by step we build these microservices. That means let it stay. They have not to replace it. Advise your customer not to go to HANA, but let it stay for a while and do only a simple POC and build a few I can help you. and build a few microservices. And they can see it. And if we find partners who can build more microservices.
Mm.
And then the cost is good enough. And here you have perpetual license. And means if you go in HANA, you are losing for your perpetual license forever. They cost you nothing. And then you are milked every time they milk you. That's the only goal for them is to bring you to subscriptional. Then they're free to charge you what they like.
Mm.
And here they can charge you nothing because you have not to pay the maintenance. Why should you pay the maintenance? It's you own it. This is the unique. Most people don't know it. This is the unique elements that you own. The software for your own. You have perpetual license forever.
Mm-hmm.
And that is misleading where people, that is the reason they push you with, they say AI is only for HANA. AI, we do it not for ECC. Because AI, we have to bring it to the cloud. But their cloud is limited. Their cloud bring it with old logic.
Mm-hmm.
And you have HANA is the same source code like we did 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's not totally rebuilt. It's more adopted in a browser.
Yeah, no, I understand. And the only other question would be, what do you see the future of ERP being? If you could put it in one sentence or two sentences.
I call it beyond ERP. For the next 10 years, we have some things for ERP, maybe DSO or what people call ERP should be beyond ERP. And ERP is it's crucial. You need water. ERP is the foundation of the water.
Mm-hmm.
Not the foundation, it's a transformation of the water from the iceberg into the river. Now, but maybe over time, when the glaciers are disappearing, we still have water.
Mm-hmm.
The metaphor. Because I have the water here, and I can now pick a piece of water, but I have the rainy water that's coming outside, fresh water here.
Yeah.
And this is the limited water. Mm-hmm. It's coming from a frozen element maybe it's water from thousands of years old. Mm-hmm. Was already frozen a long history. Like these algorithms that we see a little from Oliver Wright.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So so the future, obviously ERP is always going to be there. It's always going to be a necessity for any sort of manufacturing business or anybody in that sort of.
Yeah, but I mentioned they even need PLM.
Yeah.
Why should you do it in ERP? Now they need project control. Why should you do it in ERP? It can be done in microservice already. For the next 5 years, the core functionality of mass production scheduling and everything will come out of ERP.
Mm-hmm.
But tomorrow I can make it in microservices, but why should I do it? I can make more money downstream than to replace too early. Why should I drop it? Maybe make a beautiful museum from it. And the people who are making more money downstream can travel here and have holidays here by the glacier.
That's a very good analogy.
Let's see ERP. Why not make ERP beautiful? Because it helps us a lot. Let's make it a beautiful museum. They call me one of the founding fathers of ERP. Why should I give it up? I'm born there.
Very, very, very true. Yeah.
Okay, we do it already for 1.5 hours, but it's hopefully this will be recorded. No, I hope that the recording will come to you soon. We'll see. I call you later, and let's have some discussion there. Yeah,
that'd be great, Jan. And like I said, if we can have more calls or we can catch up next week, that'd be fantastic. And,
I drop the voice out 1 moment. Let me see here. Let me even stop it sharing. Stop recording.